Wade and Wade reacts.
We got a request to react to Sloth Cake's analysis of the Acguy. Let's check it out.
Hello everyone, Slothcakes here, and welcome to the first episode of Amphibious Analysis, where we take a look at Zeon's also strange amphibious mobile suits and look at their lore, their history, performance, and other neat things. Now you might be saying, why amphibious mobile suits? Well, no idea actually. I just really like these guys. They're very neat looking and they're very adorable, so they're just the goofy little critters that bring me joy. And also, I know a good amount of useless knowledge about them, so why not? But anyways, let's kick off the first episode with not the first amphibious mobile suit, and certainly not the best, but it is a personal favorite of mine, and it's the MSM-04 Acguy. Starting things off with appearance, this is a sight to behold. The Acguy has this round silhouette, and having colors of brown and tan, it makes him look like some sort of demon bear thing, much more than he looks like a robot. Moving to the limbs, we still see this round, compact shape. This guy looks really small, however he stands at 19.2 meters, which is taller than the Gundam. And as for other one-year war amphibious mobile suits, he's only beaten by the Zoth. Now moving on to the head, well more specifically the mono eye, many amphibious mobile suits have weird pathways for the mono eye, and the Acguy's no different. Mapping out his mono eye, horizontally, he can make a full 360, and if he's looking straight forward, his mono eye can go all the way up, reaching the back of his head. So if you laid it out in a 2D pattern, it would just be a circle with a line through it. But the reason for this is because while the Acguy's underwater, he's going to be under his enemies, so being able to look directly upwards is very helpful. And to be looking behind you and scanning your surroundings is a very useful thing for stealth units. Now let's end this segment off with a fun fact. This is something that you guys see all the time, but you never really paid attention to. Now the Acguy has something that many Zeon amphibious mobile suits do not have, and that is a neck unit. Majority of Zeon amphibious mobile suits do not have necks. They're just body and head connected into one. And this is so they can swim through the water easier. However, the Acguy is one of the few Zeon amphibious mobile suits that have a neck. I don't know why. Now for the quick history lesson. Developed in the
it doesn't really need it. It has a 360 view.
79, the Acguy is an amphibious mass production mobile suit. Designed and manufactured by Zeonic Company, this was Zeonic Company's first made amphibious mobile suit and was a follow-up to Zimmad's company's GOG. His first appearance is in the original anime, where a group of Acguys piloted by Zeon's Marine Corps, led by Char Aznavour, infiltrates Jaburo. And as a side note, if you look at the uniforms for these Acguy pilots, it's very strange. It looks wrinkly, even though it's trying to be like a tight suit for like going underwater.
Just bad
and
art.
To me, it always looked like they were mole people of some sort and not like, Zeon soldiers. Now for some other appearances, we do have a small scene in 08th mission where an Acguy does appear, but we also have a large scene in Double Zeta where Judo combats one and various other amphibious mobile suits while he's piloting a Zagat. In Gundam Thunderbolt, both in anime
That's the
and
best
manga,
depiction of an Acguy to me.
Guys led by Daryl Lorenz is shown, and they're given a good amount of screen time, and it has some very nice scenes which I would recommend. Moving on to more niche appearances, there is a short story manga where an Acguy has a major role, and that's called Acguy 2,250 Miles Across North America. I enjoyed the story a lot. It's very nice and just gives a lot of love to the Acguys because they're the main characters, so I highly recommend that. Also, an Acguy does have an appearance, and he does play an important character in the Gundam Katana manga. Now both mangas I just mentioned do not have official releases or official English translations, however you can find fan translations on the internet, so go do that. So now let's mosey over onto specs. The Acguy stands at 19.2 meters and weighs 120 metric tons, with a top speed of 80 kilometers an hour on ground, which is roughly 50 miles per hour, and 98 kilometers per hour in water, or 61 miles. The Acguy, to no surprise,
I thought it would be
is
faster underwater than 61 miles.
On ground. And just to show you guys a comparison, here's the ground speed of an Acguy with the ground speed of a Zaku 2. Now for generator, the Acguy has the twin Minovsky ultra compact fusion reactor, which is the same one found in the Zaku 2 Type F, which is just the regular Zaku 2 except it's not a twin. However, while having double the generator as the Zaku 2, he emits little to no heat, making him a great stealth unit, especially in water, which is a reoccurring thing in many amphibious mobile suits. Now we're going to be moving on to my favorite part of this video, and that's going to be weapons and armaments. Now the Acguy has a weapon that's actually uncommon in a lot of Zeon mobile suits. They do adopt this later on after the 1 year war, and it's something you can find in practically every single Federation mobile suit, and that's head Vulcans. Specifically 4 105mm Vulcans. Now with double the Vulcans means double the firepower, but they'll still serve the same basic cause, used to destroy small vehicles, aircraft, less armored mobile suits, or sensitive spots on mobile suits, but now also since it is an amphibious mobile suit, you can destroy things like watercrafts as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It makes sense for
Moving
that.
down, we have an advanced weapon for its time, and this is going to be something you're going to see in a lot of amphibious mobile suits, and I'm going to explain why. And that's the Mega Particle Cannon. This is located in the same hand as the Iron Claw, and yeah, it's a beam weapon. Now with having double the generator as the Zaku, and being able to submerge itself in water to cool itself off, the Acguy is able to support beam weapons, which makes this thing significantly more terrifying on the battlefield. And that's a common thing with a lot of amphibious mobile suits, with having strong generators and being able to cool itself off by going into water.
Smart.
A lot of them, well, close to every single one, is able to or has beam weapons. Now with that being said, many other Acguys had the Mega Particle Cannon replaced with a Vulcan gun, which drastically lowers its firepower, but is cheaper to produce and puts less strain on the generator. On the other arm, we have the 6-tube missile launcher, which is a 6-tube missile launcher. Pretty self-explanatory. This can be fired one at a time or in rapid succession, can be both fired on ground and in water, and while not the most highlighted weapon in this kit, not the most fanciest thing, having access to explosives does come in handy. Now moving on to melee. On the same hand that the Mega Particle Cannon or Vulcan gun is housed, we have the Iron Nails, which when not in use stay hidden in the forearms, but are extendable claws that are sharp and tough enough to pierce Federation mobile suits. Now if slashing and stabbing isn't your thing, don't worry. On the other arm where the 6-tube missile launcher is housed, the Acguy has been depicted to use that as a blunt weapon, either bonking, crumping, or clubbing. It's a nice variety. On one hand you got the slashing and stabbing,
and the arm extends too, that's pretty cool.
On the other hand you got the bonking and knocking. Now that we got melee weapons out the way, I do want to address an elephant in the room, and you could be looking at the Acguy and thinking, melee is probably a last-ditch effort considering this guy's got, stubby chubby arms, but don't worry, the Acguy can actually extend his arms, making them very bendable, kind of like a noodle, giving him more range for said stabbing and slashing, or crumping and clubbing. With all the Acguy's weapons, they're all located in the forearms down besides the head Vulcans, and the Acguy can actually detach his forearms and arrange it and use any combination he wants. So you could deploy in 2 6-tube missile launchers or 2 Iron Claws. Now with the Iron Claws, I don't know if the Acguy's generator could handle 2 Mega Particle Cannons, so you could have 1 Mega Particle Cannon, 1 Vulcan gun, or have both of them Vulcan guns. This is a cool and interesting concept. Being able to switch forearms to whatever situation is needed makes you flexible and versatile on the battlefield. Being able to use a 6-tube missile launcher, Vulcan gun, or Mega Particle Cannon, it gives you some variety. But that being said, having only those 3 forearms is not really that much variety, so it's a concept, while really cool and interesting, isn't really utilized, well, for the most part. See, everything I just said for this entire video has been really the canon UC Acguy. And with that being said, there are 2 other tellings of the 1 year war, and while not canon, do have a different depiction of the Acguy. And going with the shortest one, there is Gundam The Origin, which just depicts the Acguy as a little more tighter and more compact, nothing too special. However, there is a very big change in Gundam Thunderbolt. And just in general, Get used to hearing this series a lot because Gundam Thunderbolt has reimagined
Thunderbolt made me a
and
fan of that
retold
suit.
a lot of
Me
things
too.
in UC. And for this series, we're going to be talking about amphibious mobile suits, and Gundam Thunderbolt reimagined and changed nearly all the amphibious mobile suits to sometimes small differences and to other times massive differences, and the Acguy's no change. So let's talk about the Acguy Gundam Thunderbolt version. Starting things off with appearance, the Acguy has a much more busier design, having
Yeah, it
a lot
does.
more mechanical features to him, and not only that, he's a lot taller and longer. Looks
Yeah.
like they got the original design and just gave him a good old stretch.
Exactly.
Now
The
that
suit doesn't
is
look
a
as
big
bulky.
change, and as for other things like specs and wise, nothing too big. However, the major changes come in armaments, and the Thunderbolt Acguy has a lot of weapons. As for basics, the head Vulcans have been replaced with a 10-tube missile launcher, iron nails have been swapped with a 3-claw manipulator, and while only depicted in the manga, the mega particle cannon located in the middle of the arm has been shown to be
Turn
able
into a
to
beam
deploy
saber.
a beam saber. And that covers the basics, but remember, the Acguy has detachable forearms, and Gundam Thunderbolt is no different, so they took the liberty to give him a lot of different things it can attach. And there's quite a bit that they actually gave the Acguy classes, depending on what it has attached. In no particular order, let's go over them, and the weapons, and just to tell you, I definitely missed a few, either that I didn't catch it or it's in an MSV that I didn't know existed, so if I did miss one, just tell me in the comments. But anyways, first up is Search Type, fitted with recon equipment for reconnaissance and support, such as an upgraded mono eye, a sensor forearm, or a tremor device fitted to the backpack. Search Type's obviously made for
That's
searching,
clean.
being able to detect enemies and give their location to the team, either going as a team to scout out an area, or leading a group so they don't get ambushed, or being the backlines to give map awareness. Next up is Firepower Types, which are backline shooters that can be equipped with things like mine layer backpacks, cluster rockets, or use its manipulators to equip standard Xeon arms like Zaku machine guns and Zaku bazookas. But not only that, it can equip things like TOW missile launchers, and my personal favorite, flamethrowers, because having an amphibious mobile suit use a flame-based weapon is hilarious to me. Now, being an amphibious mobile suit, they can go in water, and this could damage some of their weapons, but thankfully, like the High Guard, they can encase the weapons in a waterproof casing that they can then purge when they're out in
Yeah, that was a
land,
cool touch
protecting
right
their
there.
weapons and keeping them safe. Right after that, we have heavy firepower types, which are just firepower types with a little more oomph to them. Being much stronger in arms and being in the front of battle, they use things like multi-launchers, rockets, explosive, regular launchers, and have things like iron blades equipped to them, or large backpacks that can carry an assortment of equipment, such as more weapons or ammo. After that, we have maneuver types, which are obviously made for maneuverability. Being lightweight, they are allowed to get around faster and move about the battlefield. They're shown to be carrying shields, and their shields are a little unconventional. They have been shown to carry Zaku cannon shoulder armor or Gog's head as a shield. But not only that, they do have lightweight weapons such as Zaku machine guns or melee weapons like blades or heat hawks. Or they can carry more ammo for their team and be much more support, and because of the movability, it makes sense being able to get to each teammate and supply them with more rounds. As shown here, you see an 8-guy's backpack filled with Zaku machine gun drums. Overall, Gundam Thunderbolt fan or not, what they did to the 8-guy was really cool. I love how they got
Definitely.
the detachable forearms and just went really hard with it. With now it being able to fit so many roles, the 8-guy feels a lot
The
like
creator
a
of Thunderbolt
badass
really
in
used
Thunderbolt
their
and has
imagination.
a useful machine that people actually want to deploy in. With being able to equip so many different things, it just fits so many roles, and I love it. It's become as flexible as the Zaku, with the Zaku having so many variants and so many different things it could do. The 8-guy is just basically a Zaku that can go in water. Which, you know, there's a Zaku that can do that, the Zaku Marine type, but the point still stays. And for the final thing of the Acguy is the iconic bear guy, which is just an Acguy with two 6.2 missile launchers and a weird bear head. Now there's the lot more cutesy version, which is absolutely adorable, or we get the much more
Did we see that in
mechanical
build?
version, which looks a thing of
Yeah,
nightmares.
I think we did.
But it's very funny that you might not actually think about it, but yeah, this cute little bear guy is a variant of the Acguy. But with all that being said, thank you for watching.
Thunderbolt made me a fan of the Acguy. I always thought the Acguy had a unique design, but I wasn't too interested in the suit. I was always focused on the Zaku first, and then some of the Gundam suits that had a design that I liked. But then when I saw Thunderbolt, I said, man, the Acguy might be one of my favorite mobile suits because of its versatility. It could definitely, as he stated, operate in water, but it could also operate on land. And the customization options you have with the Acguy, since it has removable forearms, is almost unlimited. So the Acguy definitely is high up on the list of my favorite suits at this point.
Yeah, that guy definitely is up there when it comes to suits, because before, I didn't care for the Acguy. I didn't really like how it looked. But Thunderbolt changed my mind, especially how he mentioned all the different attachments. It's a pretty versatile suit if this was canon. Now,
Yeah.
they needed, in canon, they needed to go ahead and make the Acguy just like how it was in Thunderbolt. And I think, like you said, it's up there. I think the GM Custom is up there. The Jigen is up there, and the Zaku, and then the Acguy.
The Lodo from Unicorn.
The Lodo, which one was that?
It's like a grunt suit, but I think it's a pretty formidable suit.
Oh yeah, definitely Lodo is up there. Yeah, that's my top 5 suits, because as you guys know, you watch our channel, we are a fan of the grunt suits. Now, the Gundams are cool, and then the special suits that the villains use when they fight against the Gundams are cool too. But it's something about the grunt teams, because I think that's more realistic to have a team of guys doing things rather than one guy with a super powerful suit just terrorizing everybody.
Right. And I believe that I can relate more to the pilots of the grunt suits because I'm not a new type. And if I were in the Gundam universe and a soldier in the Gundam universe, I would most likely be operating one of those grunt suits.
Yeah, and the thing that made me so a fan of the Acguy suits, because we finally got to see, and I know some people are gonna say that we have seen, but now on this level, we actually got to see mobile suits act as a military unit and deploy tactics.
Yeah, that was one of the things that impressed me about that scene. They came out of the water as a unit. You had one of the pilots using his Acguy's ability to scout and to take recon data of the land and the terrain. And then they set up shop in the wilderness to ambush the opposing side, the Federation.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like the Navy SEALs or something. I don't know what the Japanese equivalent of the Navy SEAls is. If anybody knows, put that down in the comments. But it kind of reminded me of how they was like a water to land unit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And shout out to Sloth Cakes too, because bro always comes with the info, and his videos are very informative.
That does it for our reaction to this subscriber request. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Also, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video from Wade and Wade Reacts.
And we're out of here.
Peace.